Name's Xane, and I'm a divine dragon. Sort of. I really ought to play with Tiki. There aren't many of us left, you know?
Today we're talking about Ancient Xane, who is the Grand Hero Battle Unit to accompany the 35th Anniversary banner. This younger Xane still has his wings, though he is already not a full dragon. Like his Halloween ult, the Xane is an infantry mage, this time in blue. For stats, Xane has 48 HP, 43 attack, 46 speed, 23 defense, and 28 res. Compared to the other free-to-play friendly blue infantry mages, Xane is by far the fastest and has decent attack to go with it. His defense and res aren't the best, but his 48 base HP is extremely high, and he'll have a super boon for it as well. Due to how Xane's unique weapon works, HP is the only stat that kinda matters for Xane himself. For those familiar with Halloween Xane and perhaps his recent refine, Ancient Trickery has the same gimmick. First off, every turn if above 25% HP, Xane inflicts -7 speed and res and sabotage onto the closest foe and foes within 2 spaces. This weapon grants another 5 HP to Xane. For combat, Xane will copy the highest respective stats among his allies within 3 spaces. If Xane has the highest stat for any category, he can lose stats to match the next highest of his team. Now separately, Xane will get in-combat stats. This is equal to 25% of the foe's flat attack, -4. If the enemy has 72 flat attack, Xane can get the max +14 to all stats. In addition, Xane deals true damage equal to 20% speed and gets 7 flat damage reduction for first attacks with an S. Xane should have been red because this is certainly a gimmicky Grand Hero battle tone. Like his Halloween ult, Xane purely relies on his allies. He benefits from field buffs on his teammates, and you want to ideally use units with high flat stats who use skills like Fortifications or Stronghold for defense and res, Life and Death / Verge of Death for attack and speed. Great talent stats also count, so Brave Alphonse and Attuned Alm are both excellent teammates. If you were wondering if Ancient Xane is just better than Halloween Xane, well, I would probably say no. Ancient can get +14 bonus stats, Halloween gets +10. They both have the same +5 HP boost and 20% speed as true damage. Now, Ancient gets 7 flat damage reduction, but Halloween gets flat DR equal to 20% of either defense or res. Generally, Halloween's gonna get more flat DR. 2 effects Ancient won't get at all are Close Counter and Scowl. It's pretty tough to beat that. Regarding support effects, Ancient Xane debuffs speed and res, and those debuffs get doubled via Sabotage. It's a good combo. For Halloween, he gives his team +6 field buffs to all stats, no panic to protect those buffs, and then also Hexblade. If you want to get a little silly, you can just use both Xanes together. This will be one less teammate who has high flat stats you can use, but if you got it covered, then now you have 2 mages who can copy the best stats on your team. This isn't the worst idea since the 2 Xanes have complementing support effects. Halloween buffs up your team, Ancient debuffs the enemy. With Xane, we are going for a very stat stacking focused playstyle. For the rest of his base kit, Xane has Luna, which is fine. He has Infantry Pulse 3 to give cooldown, and his high base HP will make it easier to activate. For a new free-to-play skill option, Xane will bring Speed and Res Tempo 3, -3 debuffing, and no guard with no extra special charging. It's not the craziest skill at tier 3, but it's a fine option just for the no guard part. We do have a Sacred Seal version of this though, so technically not the first way to get this effect on a non-5 star. If you plan to merge up Xane, be aware you're only really benefiting from the extra HP due to his stat copying. The Neutral Nature gives +1 HP, attack and speed, which is normally fine, but Xane only cares about HP. If you do get a super boom, you should get the HP one. For free-to-play blue infantry mages, Xane is just so unique with Ancient Trickery that comparing stats is kinda unnecessary. That said, if you want to use Xane with a different weapon, well, he's not bad at all. Basically, the blue mages are not fast. For heroic rail units, no one even cracks 40 speed, and only Kadan Soren has more attack. If you want a high res option, Soren also meets those requirements. For Demo blue mages, Dorothea is a recent Gen 9 option, but she's a dancer, so she does have less base stats to work with. Her res is quite good though. If you have max Dragonflowers, Muriel is the fastest demo, although her attack isn't the highest. If you have the Resplendent stats, Tiltiu can also get to the same level. Generally speaking, Ancient Xane is just the current best blue infantry mage if you want pure attack and speed. If you want to give him another weapon like an Arcane Tome, then that's fine. With his unique Ancient Trickery though, Xane only cares about HP. He does start off at a high point, and his weapon gives another +5. We can take advantage of those for a couple skills. As an example, for Xane's base kit, his high HP is used to activate Infantry Pulse. This can give infantry allies -1 cooldown at the start of the map. If you want Xane to have his own -1 cooldown, you can use the Times Pulse Sacred Seal. As far as combat goes, Xane is reliant on allies with the higher flat stats. Xane has a 3-space range, which is generous, but do be careful if the team gets split up. He can and will lose stats to match whoever is in range. Try to have a high speed ally on your team since Xane gets speed scaling true damage. His speed and res debuffing will also be nice for general damage and outspeeding. One of the best budget skills for fast units is no follow-up, that way you don't get taken advantage of by slower enemies and their follow-up skills. You can use the biz skill version, but tempo is nice to keep. You can also just use no follow-up as a sacred seal. If Xane were to get doubled and gets hit back, then he can fire off a 2 cooldown special with no guard. If you run Times Pulse, this could also apply to 3 cooldown Luna, but otherwise you may want to swap to Glimmer or Moonbow. For A skills, Finish is nice since Xane needs to be within 3 spaces anyway. You could do bonus doubler, but you're going to need field buffing. In the C slot, Attack Smoke can add to the speed and res debuffs after attacking. With Sabotage and a stat comping, this could keep Xane alive in the enemy phase. Another Sabotage effect is with Panic. Panic's negative field buffs will count towards Sabotage's deal with doubling effect. Xane has the high base HP to run Sudden Panic or Panic Ploy. Another option is Panic Smoke for the area effect. For premium builds, Ancient Xane can copy from Halloween Xane. The main downside is that he lacks Close Counter and Scowl. We can get Close Counter back with Close Bonus Doubler. If you want, you can run this with Lagu's Friend or Loyalty. Xane can run these with 3 cooldown Flare so he can heal back after getting hit. With Lagu's Friend, you can get the DR Piercing to try and one-shot the enemy. Either skill will give Xane more flat DR, but you really want more % DR to play off of it. The only way to get unpierceable % DR would be Emblem Ike's Ring. This is for ranged units only though, so for close counter matchups, you're just relying on pure stats and flat DR. Defensively, Xane can hit some funny numbers depending on your teammates, but he's not going to be super tanky. For this Lagu's Friend build, if you want to ready Emblem Ike, you can use Imagery Pulse 4. The tier 4 will give -1 cooldown to the user. If you want to fight multiple times in a phase, you will want Times Pulse 4 for the constant -1 cooldown after combat. On the topic of cooldown, Xane can run things like Flashing Blade, Pledge, or Flash Sparrow. You can just stack Times Pulse effects with the Seal and Echo versions. Creation Pulse can work, and you could try to play around with Attuned Alm's Pulse On skill. If you want to keep no guard, you can also use Tempo as a seal or upgrade to the tier 4. That would get 50% DR piercing. Tempo Echo does the same thing. If you want no follow-up, which would be good, then there's the perfect attack and speed in the A slot, magic no follow in the B slot, Oddspeed wave 4 or infantry no follow 4 for the C slot, and then of course the sacred seal. If you want to go for an offensive setup, then you can use remote sparrow or fleeting echo for some kind of % damage reduction. Guard 4 or brash 4 could work too. Another DR piercing option is Resonance. Xane has the HP to run it, and it would give him up to 12 true damage. You could also just instead use Occultist Strike. Player phasing might be a bit tough with Xane. He must stay within 3 spaces of his allies to borrow stats, so Ancient Trickery is innately a more defensive weapon. You can stack on Drive Auras or support statuses easier, and Xane can maybe run things like Breath of Life 4 for sustain. Now besides Emblem Ike's Ring or other % auras, try to get attack debuffs onto the enemy. Sabotage can double up the effect, and you could even use Full Penalty Doubler since they are the same thing. Panic Smoke 4 can grant Full Penalty Doubler itself, but you have to fight first. If you want to get it from an ally before fighting, then you can use Winter Hortensia or fellow free-to-play unit Fallen Lloyd. Lloyd and Xane can make a nice little stat debuffing duo, but that is assuming the enemy doesn't neutralize debuffs. It is a little bit of a gamble. So, should you 5-star Ancient Xane? If you do not have Halloween Xane and you enjoy a bit of a meme unit, then I would say yes. Xane's gimmick is fun to mess around with, but you should understand stats aren't everything. I can give Xane like 70, 80 plus defense from Brave Alphonse, but Xane doesn't have Alphonse's unpierceable % DR or flat DR amounts. Mages in particular don't have the best defensive skills. It's kinda just Lagu's Friend with Emblem Ike. Now you can definitely have some fun for general PvE, but Xane is not going to be the absolute strongest unit. He relies on his team and the support they can give him. The new Goto is a solid ally since he has high flat stats and will give -2 cooldown to Xane. Attuned Tiki can also help with the Lagu's Friend setups. You can tailor your build more specifically around these types of powerful friends. Speaking of which, Ancient and Halloween Xane are decent teammates. You can have some fun with 2 copycats and they have synergistic support skills. All in all, if you want a fun unit to mess around with, then Ancient Xane can do decently. He's not a complete meme unit or super gimmicky, but obviously there are limits to his shenanigans. I do think Halloween Xane is more useful due to his refine. He's only a 4-star focus unit, but you still need to summon for him. At the very least, now everyone can try out Xane's copycat gimmick with this new Ancient ult. That's all I got for this video. Have fun with Xane. He is definitely an interesting reward given the 35th anniversary. Be sure to keep logging in as well for all the fun daily banners and rewards. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.